show of hands, how many of you are 90s kids? Okay, so to many of you, this topic should be really familiar because it's something that you probably grew up with, but I hope this new information gives you a new perspective on it. My topic is Pokemon. It's a game that I've been playing since I was 4 years old, so I've been playing it for years and years, and I've only learned more from it with each new game. Over the years, it's changed a lot, so with every new adaptation, they add new things, or they add new Pokemon, they add new strategies. And it's a game that has reached a really wide audience from people at a really young age to a lot older people. And the mechanics of the game are simple enough to learn so that basically a kid can learn, but at the same time it can get really rigorous. Many of you probably grew up playing the old Game Boy games, so like Red and Green. The new ones are a lot newer, they are different, and they made a lot of changes. Red and Green, the first one, came out in the US in 1998. The most recent one is Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, so it's a remake of the old Ruby Sapphire. The most obvious changes are the visuals, so they moved from 2D black and white to 3D in color. But that's not the important part. What's important is how the battles have changed. In Generation 1 and 2, the battles were much simpler. Before, they would only have one special stat, so your special attack and defense would both be dependent on that stat, and it made it very unbalanced. With Generation 3 and onward, they fixed it by adding a separate special defense and special attack. And they've also added new things such as the abilities, and they added a new stage called Mega Evolution. So right here, that would be Rayquaza. He was a legendary in Emerald. He's now a Mega Evolution. Most of the visual changes are only really important to kids. They probably don't pay attention a lot to the mechanics, but more experienced people that grew up with it would notice the changes to the mechanics and the strategies a lot more. A lot of the people who were playing as children, they probably grew up playing it onto adults. Not all of them, but several of them. And that has formed two majorities. There is the younger generation, the 8 to 12-year-olds that are probably playing it right now, and then there's the older people, the college students, 18 to 22. It's a multimodal distribution. That means that there's two highs. So there's a really high population here, and then there's a really high population here. The thing about that, though, is that there's a really unbalanced marketing strategy that they're going with. If you see like the commercials, you just see kids playing it, or you see maybe a cute little Pikachu and not really anything about the strategy involved. So they market more towards kids, but since a lot of people grew up playing it, they would continue on playing it. Well, since a lot of them grew up playing it, they would still be playing it despite the marketing. According to Nintendo's sales, most of the people that bought the newest games were actually college students. The trend going on now is that there's less younger players playing and more older players. That could be attributed to people just growing up, or maybe younger kids aren't as interested anymore. And it's been going on with each generation. Now they're starting to market a bit more towards adults and older people because they're releasing a new game called Pokken Tournament, which is a combination of Pokemon and Tekken, a fighting game. A lot of the 90s nostalgia, that probably is a lot of the reason why a lot of people still play it, but it's also one of the driving force for the new marketing strategy. They formed a really large community that plays competitively, so this would be an example of a World Championship tournament, and it's in Vancouver. It was in 2014. There's tournaments large and small. There's local ones, but there's also big ones. Actually, according to the Arizona Republic, there's one here locally. Well, not local, but it's really close. It's in a comic store near ASU Tempe. There's different strategy involved. The type of Pokemon matters, given that some have advantages and disadvantages. Abilities are unique traits given to each Pokemon. And tiers are something that were created by Smogon to rank them by how often they're used. And then the stats really change a lot of how you play it and whether or not you decide to balance or you work on their strength. Pokemon now is much different than it was in the past. There's a huge adult following now, so